Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the Akim that are teaching this word. Shalom Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kodash. As you can see here, this is an artwork of RT, and it says Australia security official warns nations are beating drums of war amid Asia-Pacific tensions, all right? So tensions, are getting risen in the Asia-Pacific, all right? So they're saying the beating drums of war, all right? So this is part of prophecy, all right? The nations all over the world, they're getting roused up, all right? They're getting upset with basically the way of life within this system, man, pretty much. They know that there's war coming, all right, against the so-called Western powers, which is England, America, Australia, where the Edomites rule pretty much. People are gearing up for war against them, so that the war has been risen. The tensions of war in the earth is getting heightened, all right? So and this is Esau telling you this, all right? So it says, Australia's Home Affairs Secretary Mike Pezzulo issued a warning to department staff on Tuesday that the drums of war over tensions in the Asia-Pacific region and the South China Sea, all right? So this is that World War III brewing up, man, all right? Which all nations are going to be involved in that, okay? So it says in the South China Sea, Pezzulo comments came as the country celebrated Anzac Day, a day of remembrance for Australians and New Zealanders who served and died in military service for their nations. In a world of perpetual tension and dread, the drums of war beat, sometimes faintly and distantly, and at other times more loudly and ever closer to home, ever closer. The Home Affairs Secretary said in his statement to staff, "Let us continue to search unceasingly for the chance for peace while bracing again, yet again for the curse of war." There is going to be no peace, man. Even Esau's telling you this. So he said we want to search for that brace for peace, but expecting war pretty much, because you are going to go to war, man. All right, because people are pretty much getting fed up with Esau's rulership, the nations, all right, the heathen nations, And when you look at that region of the world, Australia and New Zealand, all right, who governs over there? Edomites, man. The same way they rule over in England, the same way they rule over in America, Babylon the Great, they rule over there in Australia, all right, and they rule with oppression, okay? It says the statement was backed up by Australia's Home Affairs Minister Karen Andrews, who claimed the country must be alert but not alarmed, while Defence Minister Peter Dutton said that while they don't want conflict between China and Taiwan, I don't think it should be discounted, all right? Saying basically there will be war, there will be a conflict between China and Taiwan, which obviously the Edomite Australians, they see over affairs over in that region also, man. So they're going to have to get involved, man. So see, World War III ain't just going to be America and Russia and China, America, Russia, Iran. It's going to be all the nations. But we know that the major players is going to be America, which is Babylon the Great, of course, and Russia, all right? Which is that Gog and Magog, man, all right? Which is that region of Russia. All right, tensions has been rising in the region with increased activity around the South China Sea in recent months. Okay, Australia, the US, EU, UK, France, Japan, and Philippines claim China's actions there threaten freedom of navigations, while Beijing says it's simply protecting its sovereign territory. Yeah, so the Chinese, they're saying they're protecting their region of the earth, whereas the Western powers are saying they're threatening to destabilize the area. They're threatening the peace of the area. All right. So war's brewing, all right, pretty much, and which is biblical. War's brewing, which is biblical prophecy. It says Australia security official warns nations are beating drums of war amid Asia-Pacific tension. So tension is brewing on the earth, man, all over the planet. And why is that happening? Because, there will be a third world war, right? It says Revelation 11 and 14. The second woe was past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. All right. So this is that prophecy, man. The second war was past. That's talking about World War II. That's already gone, man. World War I and II, they're past, all right? And the third war cometh quickly, all right? So there's going to be a third world war, man. And it tells you that also in Revelation, I believe it's Revelation 9. I think it's Revelation 9 and 12. Yeah, one war was past, and behold, there come two wars more hereafter. All right? So that first world war's gone, the second world war's gone, and the third world war's approaching, all right? So this is the times that we are in. We are approaching, you know, the Third World War, right? Which is the war. They called World War One the war to end all wars, but really, the war to end all wars is going to be Third World War, because it's going to be a nuclear war. All right. This is Matthew 24:6. All right. And all the nations, they're going to destroy America. All these, the Chinese, the Japanese, Iran, even America's allies, they're going to fire nuclear missiles and destroy it. All right. Because all the tension that's happening in the earth between all these little skirmishes all over the world between all these different nations, the head of that is America, right? Because the policies that's passed through America, which is Babylon the Great, the governments of America, affects the planet, right? Everyone on the planet, everyone's government on the planet is affected by the word coming out of America, right? The powers that be within America, which is Babylon the Great. Okay, it says, and ye shall hear of Matthew 24:6, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. All right. So this is what's happening, the wars and rumors of wars. That's the point I wanted to get out of it, man. And are we not hearing of wars and rumors of wars? Yes, we are, man. All right. Tensions in the South China Sea between Taiwan and China, between Australia and China, between America and Iran, between Iran and Israel. These are wars and rumors of wars, man. All right. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All right. And that's what's happening. All right. That is what's happening. All right. Nations rising up against nation and kingdom against kingdom. Because all these different countries, all these heathen nations, they have their own little mini kingdoms in their countries, man. Of course, Esau's the head of all of it, but they have their own little armies, their tanks, they have their own little mini kingdoms, man. All right? And this is the Lord raising them all up to destroy each other, man. Okay? This is what that is, man. Joel 3:9. Joel 3:9, it says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. So this is what's happening. The Gentiles is the other nations, the heathen nations, all right? Proclaim war. So there war's being proclaimed among them. It says, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Wake up the mighty men is basically them heathen nations, they're mighty, they're strong men, they're military men. All right, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say I am strong. And that's what these nations are saying, man. Because even when you go into the Beijing and Taiwan and the Chinese, for example, which Taiwan's majority of is Moabites, all right? But when you check it out, man, them people were nothing but rice farmers not so long ago. You know, in the 1900s, the early 1900s, they were mostly rice farmers, man. But now they've put down their farming tools, and they've got some great military weapons now, man. Beat your plowshares into swords, all right? So their plowshares was once their farming instruments. Now they're using them. Now they've created, instead of being farmers, now they've gone back to their mighty state, to become mighty again. So now they've got all these great weapons built. They've got massive armies over there. So their farming tools have been beaten into swords, which is the modern day sword is the gun now, man. It says, on your pruning hooks into spears, let the weak say I am strong. Exactly. And at one point they were weak. But now the Asian, the so-called Chinese, they have a massive military, man. They're sided more of the side of Russia, and they're against the Western powers. They're against the so-called white man. Esau, they don't like the so-called white man, man. So let the weak say I'm strong, and that is what they're saying, man. All right, because those people in Asia, the so-called Chinese and whatever, they think they're gonna rule next. They think when America's gone down, that the Moabites are gonna be the next up to rule, man, because they have all this technology, they have these mighty armies, but that's not so, man. So it says, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about thither. Cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Yehoshaphat, to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. All right, so the Lord, he's raising up all these nations, all these tensions raising up to bring them down to the valley of Yehoshaphat, the place of the Lord's judgment, for that Armageddon, man. So the Chinese are going to be in the Middle East, the Iranians, the Edomites, the so-called white man, Ishmael, the so-called Arabs. The Lord's going to gather all of them there when this tension reaches this boiling point for this World War III to destroy all of them, man. All right? That's what's going to happen. So the Lord's raising up these nations, you see, to to go to war, to ultimately to destroy them all, man. All right. So this is Isaiah. I'll read this one here, and I'll end it on this. This is Isaiah. It's 9, right? Okay, yeah, Isaiah 9 and 5. So the Lord's gathering all these nations, and he's waking up them Gentile nations, the heathens, all right, to destroy them in the end. But World War III is brewing, man. Isaiah 9 and 5. For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood. But this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. Exactly. So every battle of the warrior is with confused noise. That's them ancient battles, all right? The swords, the shields, the spears. All right? It says, and garments rolled in blood. But this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. Yeah, because this Third World War is going to be different. It's going to be with burning and fuel of fire, which is the nuclear missiles, man. The explosions hitting different parts of the world, all right? Hitting the different lands of the world, the nukes, man. See, because in the ancient world, these heathens, they used to use swords and spears. We all did. But this modern warfare is with what? All these, Esau's bombs, his nukes, his guns. So that's what's gonna happen, man. The nuclear missiles, that's gonna be the burning and fuel of fire. That's gonna be the destruction of the so-called white man and all the other heathens, man. But primarily Esau, the so-called white man, which is and his head, the head of his country, the head of his kingdom is America, Babylon the Great, man. So with that, World War III is brewing, man. So with that, I'm just going to say all praises unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and shalom to the Akim that are teaching this word. Shalom Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kodash. Shalom.